Thank you for joining us for the Q&A for two of us. We're so excited to have here with us the director of the film, Filippo Meneghetti, as well as the legendary actress, Barbara Sukowa. Thank you so much for being here with us. We really appreciate it. Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks
Absolutely.
For having us.
So Filippo, I'm going to start with you. This type of love story is unfortunately very rarely told in cinema. What was the impetus and the inspiration behind choosing this particular story for your feature film debut?
Yeah, it is true that those kind of stories are rarely told. And I guess that was one of the things that actually drove me to tell that kind of story, because as a filmmaker, it is interesting for me to represent the world in in every aspect. And so if there are things that are not told, then it is interesting to do that. But on a more personal level, the very beginning of the idea of the film came about because in the year of my formation, when I was younger, I was very close to some person that were very important to me because they passed me the passion for cinema. So I guess if today I'm a filmmaker, that meant something, and really it opened a perspective for my life. In that period, I was kind of a difficult kid, and so. They lived things that are not the story that the film tells, that is completely made up, but still a very, very hard and very difficult story, actually harder than the one that the film tells. I was really struck and touched by it, and I always thought that sooner or later, if I had the possibility to reach an audience, I would have liked to tell that kind of story, as kind of giving a gift back or something like this, and so that was the very beginning as an idea. And then I worked together with Marisol Bovorosmi, with my co-writer, for 5 years to create the story.
Oh, wow, you wrote the script for five years before you got everything together, and wow.
Yeah, it was an hard film to find, because those kind of stories are rarely told, and for a reason.
Exactly.
They are difficult to finance.
I can imagine. And this brings me to Barbara. What attracted you to this project, and sort of like, how did you get involved in it?
Well, just to add a little bit to what Filippo said, he was very charming, not to say if he had taken some younger actresses in a lesbian story, the funding would have been much easier. So I think the difficulty was to take two old ladies and put in a love story. But that was also what really interested me. I thought it was a brave act on part of the director and something special. And I loved the script when I read it. Thought it had very complex characters. It was a story very differently told than these stories usually are. And yeah, and it's always a little risk to work with a first-time director in a feature film, because you have no reference to what he is doing normally. And so you have to trust the things he's telling you. And so I read the script, and then we met, and he convinced me that he had really worked through this story and really had a connection to these characters.
I mean, your background is in theater, and you have an illustrious career in cinema. You have these iconic performances in films from the new German cinema. You worked with everybody from Fassbinder to Margareta von Trotta and Agnieszka Holland. But this was the first LGBTQ role that you ever played. Is that correct?
Yes. I did play a role where it would not be declared as an LGBTQ role, but I played Hildegard von Bingen, who was a 12th century nun, and she loved another nun. But of course, in that time, and also in the film, this was not obviously a lesbian relation, but it was a love between women.
And can you talk a little bit about working with Martine Chevallier? I think the connection that you two have on screen is so fantastical to watch.
Well, it's always, you know, you play these very intimate roles with each other, and then you have hardly any time to know the person. And I find this always a very exciting thing, actually. And we met once for a dinner that Filippo arranged. And what happened is, because you know you have to go so quickly into this intimate passionate relationship, we started talking about our love lives and I mean, we are both old and have had many relations. And so we kind of delved into that and were very open with each other. And during this dinner, and then also during the film, we would just reveal a lot of things to each other, which you normally don't reveal to a stranger whom you just met. But it's a necessity, or it was for us in that case, a necessity.
And Filippo, there's this very interesting sort of like almost like a visual metaphor of having the two apartments and the hallway between them. Can you talk about creating this sort of like, their apartments are very different, like the set design and everything, and gives you sort of like a background on the character. Can you talk about creating that?
Yeah, sorry, I've lost a little bit, but I got the question. So, well, basically, the architecture of the film was pretty much the core of the idea at the beginning, meaning that somehow, you know, that to complete the first answer I gave you, I was looking for years to tell that kind of story somehow, but I didn't find the right angle, the right way to do it. And, you know, we are always kind of hunting for metaphors, you know, the right, we are always hunting for images that can tell, just by filming those things, what it is going on inside the character, what the character is facing. And so one day, I came across visiting a friend, two ladies that were living like this with two doors always open, but nothing to do with the story. They just became widow at the same moment, basically, and in 1 month, and they were feeling very lonely. And so to feel more comfortable, they were living with the two door always open, and I really kind of listened them speaking through the landing, and I'm very curious, so I was like peeping a little bit, and so when I was there, I saw that that was the right metaphor to tell my story, the story that I wanted to tell. And that came really quick. Like, I saw the image and I said, this way I can get, knowing the kind of story that I had in mind, I can get the door that is always open and it is always shut, and the landing that become a border tells exactly what I want to tell in a very simple and everyday life way, which that was I wanted. Starting there, we started with Malison to develop the rest of the film. But while we were writing, we had a maquette, a 3D things of the apartment, so that I can figure out I was gonna play out and which way they were gonna move through the apartments. And the two different apartments, you said that they are very different, and that is intended to be so, because I wanted the two different apartments to be kind of the mirror of the character. So Madeleine's apartment, it is somehow, I was talking with the set designer, it must be so cozy that you don't want to live in, you know, because it is the mirror of our family life, you know, so full of things that you bought in 35 years with your kids and your husband, and all those things that doesn't have any meaning or use, but that become your, you know, like the things that are behind me, you know, they mean nothing, but they mean a lot. And they, when I film that, I'm filming her past. While Nina's apartment, which is a fake apartment, basically, once we go in, we discover that it is empty, like the fake life that Nina tried to build out of her will to be with Madeleine. But and so it becomes a mirror of her state of her soul after the stroke, which is, you know, she has nothing to do anymore there. You know, I mean, she's completely, she feels empty. She can feel empty. and I filmed the apartment, and that helps the audience to get close to the state of mind Nina is in. So that was the idea.
I think that comes through for sure, and just the scene when she's sort of like shut down into her apartment, Barbara's character is, and you see that she realizes that she doesn't have anything there because they've been living there. Yeah, exactly. It's a really beautiful sort of like a shock to the viewer of like, this is what's happening, and it's crazy that they're shut away. Barbara, what have you found sort of like surprising or rewarding or even challenging in this portrayal of intimacy?
Well, the first thing is, of course, you know, to negotiate with yourself how does the love for a woman or sexuality with a woman look to what I'm used. And what I found somewhat surprising, and which was revealed to me even much later, and what Filippo just was saying about the apartments, I think that is just the one layer. Martine's apartment looks cozy and beautiful and warm, and Nina's looks cold. But actually, Martine's is maybe comes across as more cozy and more warm and more cuddly, and Nina comes across a little colder. But if you really look deep, Nina is the one who carries the passion for that love, who doesn't give up, who stays with her. She fights for her love, whereas the Martine character is a bit of a coward also. What is interesting about this film, it's also a film about family. You think it's about these two women just, but it is about family also. And she doesn't want to destroy the illusions of her children, that the love that she had for her husband was the greatest love of her life, because it is a great disappointment for the kids and a great disillusion that they find out that was not true. So she doesn't want to break this to their kids. So if I say cowardice, it's on the very surface. So she's also caring, but she doesn't have that passion, that heat that Nina has. Although she seems colder, her apartment seems more empty. There is not the cuddly, cozy thing. But actually beneath is a much more belief in this kind of love.
Do you think, go ahead.
No, that's very interesting. Exactly. Anyway, what we were saying with the set designer, it looks like a cozy apartment, while it is a prison indeed. And that's that kind of contradiction, as much as with the character, you know, are really interesting because they are very, I think, lifelike. That's what we all experience, you know. You have one thing and the other thing at the same time, and you know, and this I would use the word imposter for Madeleine more than coward, but anyway, you know, she's two things at the same time, and Nina as well. She's hiding with different layers, different things that the audience will discover, and they also switch places through the film sometime, which is something that happens often in the film. At the beginning, it's Madeleine that don't want to say anything to their kid. Then Nina can do it, but she won't, because she's somehow keeping again the role. And this contradictory kind of switching places and while being consumed, that's an English word, I don't know, from love and obsession about love. That was really striking me while writing the character and then of course directing the film, that you come across things that are very lifelike and that you can see in a very different way in your own life, you know, even if you are not the character, you know, and that is very, very, very strange and interesting to deal with.
Yeah, that is always very interesting if you do, for example, Q&As or so, that people see the film, they want to see and the film, and they see what relates to their own life. Because in fact, we don't really know how Madeleine's life was with her husband. We have no idea. So, and we don't really know what Nina was before. So there's a lot of imagination for the audience, for the characters. Nina, what kind of life did she have before? She sacrificed, obviously, the big cities. She sacrificed a much more free life to come to this little provincial town. But, and you could also say, well, Madeleine maybe wanted to have it both. Why did she not give it up? So there's so many ways you can see it. There's so much room left for the audience, and that's what I really like about the film, and that what you and Marisol have written.
Absolutely, and I think it's also another thing that's left unsaid is if she would have ended up leaving Madeleine with Nina for Rome, or if this accident didn't have happened, or would this just have been like a self-perpetuating issue that she wouldn't have said anything. And because you sort of like touched a little bit on the family part, both of you, can you talk about Anne, which is Martine's daughter, which is played by the very talented Leah Drucker, because she's a very interesting sort of like nuanced character.
Well, yeah, actually, it was a very big challenge for us to write Anne's character, and that's why I was very happy when Leah Drucker said yes, because she's a very talented actress, as you said, and we really needed an actress that can be different things at the same time. You know, that can bring empathy to the character, but at the same time, when she turned the other way around, she's still there. She's still strong, and that's a very rare talent that Leah has. And the challenge was we always thought that some of the audience might be coming into the film through her character, from Anne's character, because you might identify in the son sometime, or the daughter. And what was very important for us, that she's bad somehow, but she at a certain point in the film she does very difficult things to see to her mother, but we needed we wanted the character to be with her, to follow her path, and see how she get there. And also we wanted, so it was very important that at the beginning we build empathy for the character, for Anne's character, and then actually the film is built in such a way in which we are always switching between, we start with Madeleine's point of view, then we go to Nina, and then briefly before the ending in which we switch from one point of view to the other, we are for like 5 or 6 scenes from Anne's point of view. And that was very important. And we while writing, we decided to do that because we needed that to not the audience to be thrown away, to be too far from this character, to understand that it is not about homophobia, it is about jealousy, about feeling betrayed, about feeling she loves her mom. Her mom is her model for in life, and she were always behind her, and now she understands that her mother didn't trust her enough to tell her who she really is, and that's very painful. I mean, if you experience that, it is not about homophobia. It's just very painful to deal with that kind of I mean, love, it's a lot about trust. Then if you don't feel trusted, you don't feel loved, or it might happen like this. And then for Anne, it's very difficult to handle it. And that's why she does what she does. And so that was very challenging. I think it is one of the, we kept rewriting so many times Anne scenes till the very, very end, because we weren't sure, and then we talked with Leah, and you know, we went, and you know, and it was very challenging, and I'm happy with the result actually of that.
For sure, I think it's like Barbara said, sort of like it's more about the secret that were kept from her rather than like her being homophobic or like having something against her mom being gay. And because I know we have to wrap up soon, but can you tell us a little bit, what do you want the audience to take from this film, and what did you take out of this film as well?
Barbara first, so I get time to think, or you want me to answer first?
Okay,
I mean, I try to together.
Well, I see one thing that is, because you mentioned secret, and I think secret is a big part of the film, and we see that secrets make people sick. If you can't be yourself and you carry secrets around you long enough, it can make you sick. And the other thing which I find very important is that both these characters, they always talk about the future, about going to Rome, having another life, and then something can happen that completely destroys the idea of your future. So if you have an idea that you want to do in the future, do it now. Don't postpone it.
That's sad.
Yeah, that's a very wise thing to say. And just if I can, that's why I wanted Barbara to talk first. You know, I knew she was going to say something. And just to add something to that, what I would like the audience to feel at the end of the film, it's empathy for everything. I mean, you know, for other people. No matter the way, no matter, you know, just empathy and you know, opening doors. That's what really matters to me this time.
Beautiful said, both of you. Thank you again so much for being here with us. We really appreciate it, and can't wait to see what's next for both of you. Hopefully another project we both collaborate on in the future.
That would be so cool.
And then you come back to the festival in real life.
Good idea.
Yeah, that would be better.
In real life, exactly. Thank you again.